Hey there, friends, fans, and collectors. Welcome to another episode of Binary Sunset Review. I am Mike, and in this episode, we're going to be taking a look at the top 12 best Black Series figures of 2020. It was hard to narrow this list down. There were a lot of great figures this year, but let's jump right in.
Commence primary ignition.
This year, we saw an expansion into a lot of Black Series lines, as well as a new boxing that goes standard throughout the entire collection. Now, this new boxing and design is a welcome change, both for in-box and out-of-box collectors. There were a lot of great figures this year, and it was definitely hard to narrow the list down to 12 even. So starting off with the runners-up, I have to go with the Mandalorian and the Mandalorian Loyalist. Now these are I have other Black Series Clone Wars figures that are Walmart exclusives in my list actually, but these guys didn't make it, and not because they weren't great figures. Now these are figures that were based off of the seventh season of the Clone Wars, which we saw on Disney Plus this year. Amazing show, and I love that we're getting different expansions into other Star Wars shows, especially the animated ones. Now, these figures it was really cool. Their paint scheme is really nice, but one of the reasons they didn't make the list was because that the model they're based on is the Jango Fett model that we also saw this year. That was a Gaming Greats figure, and this model had minimal articulation, and it looked really great. It looks really cool. They look really great. They look really cool, but the Black Series is known for some of its really advanced articulation and ability to pose these figures. And unfortunately, whereas these guys look great, they were lacking in some of the posing. Now, moving on up the list, right in the front here, we have the Geonosis Battle Droid. Now, this came out very early in the year as part of the Black Series line, and it was a great revitalization to the Attack of the Clones figures, which we had previously seen many years ago. Now, it's great to be seeing these in the Black Series line in 6 inches, and it's great because we have been seeing more and more clones, and not enough of the guys they shoot at. So not enough of the little battle droids, and the articulation for these is quite amazing. Now, they are droids, so they were kind of tiny and spindly, but if you have the delicate care, you really can pose these guys in some great forms. Now, the only reason this guy didn't make the list also is because we had so many other great figures this year. I love army building, and this figure is definitely a perfect figure for army building for your CIS forces. Continuing on the list of honorable mention, we have the 40th anniversary TIE Fighter figure. Now, this figure was part of the Empire Strikes Back 40th anniversary. Its Black Series packaging modeled that which was seen in the Vintage collection, with the Kenner on the bottom, the larger packaging. Very nice. I have one in full packaging here. Beautiful packaging, and really a nice design of a classic figure. The packaging was particularly special because it was one of the only figures whose boxing didn't have the actual picture of the figure on him. He has his TIE Fighter. So neat bit of history, and a great figure. Now, again, it didn't make the list because we have so many other great figures this year, but definitely a fun one to check out. This year, we saw an introduction of the actual name of the child, that being Grogu. And it was this baby Yoda who we fell in love with last year. And at the start of this year, we actually saw a Black Series figure. Now, this Black Series figure came in the most adorable little Black Series box that was styled in the old Black Series boxing with the black and red. And we've seen a couple other iterations of this guy in the Black Series design, but none of them have been as great in terms of painting, articulation, or just all-around figure-wise, accessories that come with them, as we've seen with the original Black Series release. Now, this little guy stands at like 1.1 inches, so he's perfectly in scale to any of the Black Series figures, and it's great to have some other interesting characters added to the Black Series line, and especially to flush out some of the great main characters that we've gotten from the Mandalorian show. Continuing on our list of Mandalorian figures and honorable mentions, we have to have our Imperial Speeder Pilot and the Child accessory. Now, this was a Scout Trooper, a speeder bike, and a little accessory of the child figure that you could sling around any Black Series figure. Now, this is one of the first Black Series vehicles that we're seeing. Now, the first one also debuted this year, and that was the Snow Speeder with Dak Rowter in it. But I am really excited to see some other expansion into other vehicles this year. Mom, take two. Now, this vehicle marks the further expansion of Black Series figures, playsets, and vehicles. Now, we've previously seen other figures with vehicles, and this year we got the DAC Router with the Snowspeeder. But we've always loved speeder bikes. They've been iconic vehicles of the Star Wars universe, and this guy is particularly memorable from the season finale of The Mandalorian. Now, it's great. He comes like very, very posably. He's actually one of the better articulated figures I've seen this year entirely. And that's saying something for being a figure that comes with a vehicle. But this vehicle is in the white scheme that we see with a lot of the remnant forces. It does also kind of fit your other 6-inch Black Series figures, and it's a great memory. I really, really hope they keep expanding into these vehicles for the Black Series figures, and this guy was a pretty amazing addition. Now, last but not least, number 12 on our list, the Walmart exclusive, elusive Phase 1 Clone Trooper Lieutenant. Now, this figure was not that easy to find when it first debuted, being a Walmart exclusive, but I really, really love the expansion into the leadership of the clones, as well as giving us a fan favorite model that we haven't seen for a good decade. This clone debuted late summer of 2020, and it also was seen to show off the first colors for the Attack of the Clones boxing. Now, I know this didn't make many people's list, but you gotta love those Grand Army of the Republic clones, and this clone did see some articulation advancements that were later to become norms throughout the Black Series. Number 11 on our list of best Black Series figures has to be the Clone Trooper from Kamino. Now, this figure was the first figure to debut the Clone Wars color scheme and the new boxing for the Black Series figures. This gray division has been seen to have many different names throughout the Clone Wars, but the patch on his shoulder means that he's from the clone home planet of Kamino. This figure demonstrates a direction that I hope Hasbro goes in and continues to go in with their figures. Now, here is a figure that should be higher on the list. Now, it is the Incinerator Trooper from The Mandalorian. We saw him debut in the finale of the We saw him debut in the finale of the first season, and we knew that we were going to get a figure based on his amazing colors and unique armor. Now, this was a year full of amazingly detailed and painted figures, and this is a great example of it, but one of the reasons that this isn't higher on the list has to do with the detail that Hasbro needs to put into their figures. Now, you can see on the back here, I'm going to stop the spin and just leave it on his backpack for a second, because if you notice something, his backpack is 100% upside down, 180 flipped around from when it needs to be. Now, these nozzles and all these hoses should be at the top so they don't blow up and cause him to light himself on fire. And, you know, it's even in the background picture here. He does have the correct hoses. I thought this was kind of like a glitch with some figures, but this seems to be every single figure has his backpack upside down with no way to flip it around successfully. So what an amazing, beautifully articulated figure, but just it has to get some qualms in there because of the lack of attention to detail that was taken into the creation of the mold. Despite the minor inaccuracies, this is a highly detailed, amazingly painted figure, and it does come with this very unique, very cool looking flame accessory that really lets you pose him like he's spraying some people down with some of these flames. This figure debuted in September of 2020, and it is number 10 on our list of top 12 best Black Series figures. The number 9 spot belongs to Teebo. Now, this is one of the first Ewoks we've seen in many years, and definitely the first Black Series Ewok that we've ever seen. This figure also debuted the color scheme for Return of the Jedi, and sports several amazing unique accessories. Teebo comes complete with a great paint job, beautiful articulation, really, really great facial sculpt, as well as all the stabbies and bashies he needs to get all the gooey gubbins in the forest. This is a great expansion into what could be for the Black Series. Now, Star Wars is a universe that's full of tons of aliens, droids, and other kinds of beings, and it would be great to see a further expansion into those creatures and characters in the expanded universe that are not just human. Now, this is definitely a preview of what's to come, because as we know, the Heroes of Endor pack is going to also come with an exclusive Ewok, and that one is Paplu. This figure debuted early in 2020, and it is definitely one for the list. Coming in at number 8 on our list, we have the Black Series version of Cara Dune. A version of this figure also made our top 10 list for the Vintage Collection figures of this year, and it is a great depiction of one of the best new Star Wars characters we have. This figure made the list particularly because of the articulation, the design, the facial sculpt, and the great accessories that came with it. She comes with her little stabby, which can be stored perfectly in her boot as seen on the show. And just like the Remnant Stormtrooper, we retreated to a couple different versions of this figure, including a Vintage Collection version, a carbonized graphite version, and 2 different versions of this Black Series 6-inch figure. The biggest shocker on my list has to be the number 7 slot, that being the Remnant Stormtrooper. This figure was a Target exclusive that first debuted in the Mando Mondays and was available to be found on shelves later in the fall. Aside from a very attractive, nice, unique paint job, this figure sports some of the best articulation I've seen this year. This is done through a new butterfly joint in the arms, which allow the shoulders to have much more expression, as well as some of the helmet articulation that we've seen with some of the advanced Black Series models this year. The remnant forces from The Mandalorian definitely fill in one of the biggest gaps of where are they and what happened to them in terms of the Imperials post-Empire. And I love figures and characters that add depth to the story that we don't know. Number 6 on our list is The Empire Strikes Back 40th Anniversary Rebel Soldier. This is an excellent figure. It came out in one of the earlier waves of 2020 and one of the first waves of the Empire Strikes Back 40th Anniversary merchandise. Aside from being a greatly highly detailed figure, this also makes the list because of its unique army building capabilities. Now each figure comes with 2 faces and has the ability to create a bunch of different poses and faces with just one figure. This also made the list because of the beautiful card back that we're seeing in the background. Now this is resembling the Vintage Collection and modeled after the figures that we saw 40 years ago. This figure is highly detailed and a great example of what anniversary figures and collectibles should be. Number 5 on our list goes to the 332nd Clone Trooper, and that's Ahsoka's clone. This figure was released in the summer in tandem with the 3 other Clone Wars Black Series figures that went with the 7th season of the Clone Wars. This made my list not only due to the unique paint scheme, but also to the iconic look and the iconic feel of this character and what they mean to the Clone Wars. The 7th season of the Clone Wars was a long time coming, and I'm really glad that we got this figure immortalized from the 7th season. This figure really does represent the perfect example of a closing or a finale to a show that was much loved. This figure also does sport the new boxing as well as some pretty amazing articulation advancements. At number 4 on our list, we have Ahsoka Tano from the 7th season of the Clone Wars show. This figure was a part of a Black Series line that was a Walmart exclusive. Now, they were hard to find originally, and they took a while for the people to get to the people who pre-ordered them, but this truly is an amazing figure. Ahsoka's been a fan favorite for years and years and years now, and it was so great to see her finale in the Clone Wars, and to get that immortalized in the Black Series figure is particularly amazing. Say what you will about Clone Wars and Rebels, but the character of Ahsoka has a really beautiful and perfect arc, and expands upon what we know about the Force and opens up questions to what we think we know about the Force even more. Coming up in number 3 on our list is Clone Commander Bly. This figure debuted at the start of 2020 and was one of the last figures to be seen with the old boxing. Aside from being a really great, memorable clone, this figure ranks top on the list because of the amazing soft goods cape, the cool pistols he came with, and the great posability. Number 2 on the list has to go to the Target exclusive Mandalorian Din Djarin and the Child Build-Up Pack. This figure debuted as a part of Mando Mondays and was later available to be found in stores in the fall. Although we've seen a couple different versions of the full Beskar Mandalorian, this is the only model that has the removable helmet and the Din Djarin's face. This figure also comes with some unique accessories like the tracker fob that we see, as well as some pieces of the Beskar alloy, and a unique child figure with preamp that closes and has a figure in it. This design was particularly special, and this is high on the list not only for the accessories, but also because of the memories of the great show that we've seen, and the great relationship that we saw grow on the 1st and 2nd seasons. This figure featured some unique boxing, but it also was in line with the new Black Series design and color scheme. And the winner of this year's Best Black Series figure has to go to the HasCon exclusive, The Armorer.
This figure gets number 1 because of its unique accessories that are exclusive to the HasCon figure, as well as the soft goods back, the fur cape that she has that is exclusive to the HasCon one also. Now, the boxing for this figure resembles the new Black Series packaging we've seen, although it also has a very, very unique style to it that is only with the HasCon exclusives. This figure debuted as a part of PulseCon and began shipping out later in the summer.
That's a wrap for today's episode of Binary Sunset Review. Thanks for checking in. Your likes and your views are always appreciated. Please comment below. Let me know what your top 12 best Black Series figures of 2020 is. I'd love to hear. I love comparing this list, and I love the community that we have going here. Now, once again, this year it has to be the HasCon exclusive, the Armorer, just the combination of all the accessories and just the overall different design of the figure that we got from the normal one that was released. If you haven't already done so, hit the subscribe button below. That way you'll stay on the forefront of the best Star Wars news and reviews as soon as I make them. Thanks for watching again. Have a great day out there. Stay safe, stay sane, and remember, the Force will be with you, always.
I'm just a simple man trying to make my way in the universe.